Join me right now is Bellator veteran Khai Wu. Hey, is it kind of weird to say that you're a veteran of something since you're still
Yeah,
so young?
yeah. I mean, definitely, but still looking for those Bellator wins, you know. But definitely, it does feel weird saying that I already had two Bellator fights in my first pro year. You know, it's very cool, surreal experience because like just 2 years ago, I was amateur doing my first amateur fight 2.5 years ago, and then I was watching Bellator fights, and I'm like, yeah, one day I'll be on there, and I just didn't expect the turnaround time to be so soon, you know. Like, I didn't expect to get on there 2 years later, like my second pro fight, and I'm already on Bellator. Didn't expect that, you know. So it's really cool.
Before we get into your first year as a pro, I wanted to talk about something that I'm interested in mostly is Asians never die. How did you hook up with them?
They're actually like a Bay Area, like I'd say it's like more like a movement, like a culture. You know, they're very supportive of, like, you know, Asian athletes and people. They're just very supportive of Asians in general. It's no like it's no like we're the best or anything like that. It's just he just does want to he does want to recognize the people that are putting in the work, or, you know, like that are working hard, and celebrities, artists, you know, all that. So they reached out to me for my first fight in Bellator. They're like, yo, you know, the sponsorship, just, you know, have our logo on your shorts or something. And they've been very supportive of my movement. They gave me a shout out too. So I just thought the least I could do is, you know, wear their logo on the shorts. And I know the owner of the brand, Ty. He's actually a very nice guy, very supportive of all Bay Area, you know, Asian people in general. You know, just he's always like, when we don't get the spotlight, he tries to get it for us, you know. So I just appreciate him putting in the work that he does with that brand and just kind of giving me a shout out, you know, and all that stuff. So that's kind of how I got linked up with them. Very nice people, very supportive.
How big is it for you to be having the Asian community behind you, you know, in California?
Is huge. I didn't expect it to kind of be like that at first, but now it's like it's not even just Asian community anymore. It's like just my generation. Like, just um, the older folks can kind of they can kind of respect where I'm coming from because of like the way I am with my family. You know, like my parents. I'm very respectful, and me and my mom have a good relationship, as well as my dad. So the older generation with the hard ass parents, you know, like the parents that are super like, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer. They feel what I'm going through when I fight and stuff, because my parents weren't exactly the most supportive in the beginning. But now it's just not even just Asians. It's like I'm like, there'd be Hispanics, just people from all sorts of other nationalities that would reach out to me, and they'd be like, hey, I know exactly what you're talking about, or like, I respect what you're going through and, you know, what you're doing, because I'm trying to fight for and represent for the underdogs, you know, the people that are counted out, or, you know, people that work really hard and don't get that chance to shine right away, or they don't have somebody to look forward to, like, you know, the grind, the person that I train 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week. I drive about 3 hours a day, you know, to and back from the gym. So it does pay off at a certain point, but when it's just kind of like a theory that everybody sees, you know, it's like everybody respects the rapper that makes it big, you know, or the movie actress or actor that makes it big, you know. And I think I'm starting to get somewhere. I haven't made it to where I wanted to yet, but I'm starting to get somewhere to where people are like, hey, you know, like, we shouldn't give up, we should keep working. So fighting for those people and being trying to be like a positive influence. Like, no, you don't see me talking like Conor McGregor or, you know, like John Jones, you know, or anything like that. So there's no like fake image that I'm putting on. It's just a martial artist image that I try to, like, it's a lifestyle for me. So seeing other people kind of get motivated by that this year was, it's not only just a humbling experience for me. It's like, I'm honored to see these guys like talk to me like they're either fans, or like they're like, yeah, you, like, I thought about you and I wanted to be like what you are, you know, now, even though they're an amateur. So it's just kind of, I don't know, I can't describe it, you know. It's just, I never thought I'd be in this position to lead, and how comfortable I am at doing it, it just kind of came naturally. So I think that's the direction that I'm trying to go towards.
Let's go back to your last fight, Bellator 206 versus Isaiah Gonzalez. You said that you kind of played it safe in that fight.
Yeah.
You were very outspoken about the judges. How do you assess the fight yourself? You said you won 2 rounds out of 3. Looking back at it, do you still believe that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I have no question in my mind that if I showed this fight to anybody with some sort of MMA knowledge, they would have scored the fight 2 rounds out of 3. The third round, so the first round I took him down 3 times. I took him down beginning of the round. I caught a kick, swept him. He got right back up. The problem with my last fight was I've never had a boring fight before. My last fight, I call it boring. I consider it boring. The first round, I took him down 3 times. 10 seconds left, I faked a Superman punch and double-legged him and took him down and held him there for the remainder of the round. Now, we didn't exchange too many strikes, but I'm making a miss, and, I'm not getting hit in the first round. I feel like I was the more active guy. And, I just did more. I took him down more, too. He didn't take me down at all in the fight. Second round, I drop him in the beginning of the second round. So I'm like, you automatically win that round. If you drop somebody, unless he takes me down for the remainder of the round or like drops me too or hits me a bunch. The thing is, none of that happened. I dropped him. And then in the third round, nothing happened really until the end of the round, closer to a minute left. He hit me with the right hand and it stumbled me. I wasn't necessarily rocked. If you watch the footage, it was the way I threw a left hook and he came with the right hand over the top. So my equilibrium was off balance, And then I shot in for a single leg because I'm like, he's getting excited. He has a minute left to try to finish me. And I'm like, let's just slow the pace down, fight IQ stuff, obviously. So when I shot the single leg, though, it was horribly timed and he sprawled me out. He ended up on top in my closed guard. And then he tried to ground and pound me for the rest of the duration of the fight, but there was not too much significant damage. If there was, you would have seen it in the post-fight pictures, my face all cut up and stuff. You don't see much of that. So I was just kind of like, wow, like the judges thought it was a split decision. Okay, like I'll live with a split decision win. And then when they announced his name, it's nothing against him. He did his job. I have no problem with my opponent, Isaiah. I'd love to ask him for a rematch. But it's just the judges. Like, I realized the way I thought I could have done a better job. I don't want to blame the judges wholeheartedly because at the end of the day, I feel like I should have just finished the fight. I shouldn't have played it safe. So now my mindset is it's either I'm going to get submitted or knocked out or he's getting submitted and knocked out. I'm going forward with that mentality in my future fights because, one, you're only as good as like your last fight. Like, no disrespect to these fighters, but like Jake Shields or John Fitch, they've been known, or GSP even, they've been known to call them like, they've been known in the MMA community as possibly like boring fighters. And I appreciate their artwork and like, their style and whatnot. But for me to represent, in Asia, like martial arts in Asia, I don't think to grow the sport, I'm not a talker like Connor. So I think I need to like show everybody like the exciting fights, regardless if I win or lose. It's like, look at Donald Cerrone, well respected. How many fights has he lost? But he gets one win, and it's just you know what I'm saying. Like the mentality behind it is just exciting fights. So I do want to be able to put on exciting fights and elevate the MMA scene here, because I know there's going to be guys that are better than me, and I know up and comer the future generation of fighters are just going to be killers. So I want to open that door for the upcoming guys, So by doing that, I have the opportunity right now to showcase MMA in Taiwan, what it should look like, not taking people down and hold them there. I get it. It's if I need a win, I'll do what I need to win. But I just mean stylistically wise, too. I want to make an exciting fight. So for my upcoming fight, it's either I get submitted or knocked out, or he's getting submitted and knocked out. There's going to be a different version of me. However, I'm not going to fight recklessly like Justin Gaethje. You won't see me like trade with people. I just mean I used to fight because it's competition. Now I kind of fight because it's a war. Like, the mentality's kind of switched. I definitely flipped the switch on this one, and I really put some thought into it. And I think this is where people start seeing, because I still haven't think people have seen the way I truly fight. I haven't lived up to expectations really. So I can't wait to show people, like, after getting my foot in the door, you know, this year as a pro, can't wait to show everybody the actual, like, okay, like, the experience is settled in, I'm seasoned, you know, I know what I'm doing now, you know, more along the lines. I mean, I'm still always going to be learning, but I'm ready to show everybody some sick stuff, you know, some highlight stuff. Every single time I fight, people should be expecting a highlight finish, either of me getting finished and knocked out or him, you know. So that fear is gone. The fear of getting finished is gone. I no longer have that. I no longer have fear at all, if any. It's just to go out there and put on a good show. And, you know, it's not the end all be all if I lose, like I said. So in my opinion, from studying some psychology and philosophy, it's scary when you fight a man with nothing to lose, you know, and he's not afraid of anything. So I carry that mentality with me when I go into the fight, my next fight specifically.
Yeah, I look at combat sports as like a puzzle, and every fighter is a piece to that puzzle. And your job is to mold yourself into a piece that fits. So you could fit into that puzzle and succeed and get to the highest level, right? And everybody's different. And like you just said, maybe that is the biggest lesson that you learned from your first year as a pro. Moving forward, in 2019, you already got a fight lined up. First month of the year, the 12th. I think they changed the name of the promotion.
Yeah, it's now Way of the Dragon, WOTD. It used to be RFC, Rain Fighting Championships, but however, I think it was too close to Road FC in Korea. Mm-hmm. So they changed it. And also, I believe, from what I hear, they do have some interesting ideas. They want to branch out to China. And ever since the Demetrius Johnson trade, I think a lot of MMA organizations are now started talking about trading. They have a Korean fighter on this upcoming card of mine, the WOTD, and they're thinking about trading fighters from RFC Road Fighting Championships with, you know, WOTD, and trading with fighters in Hong Kong. So the only reason why I know this stuff is because I was brought up in the trade. They might want to, fly me out to Korea and fight in Road FC, or go to Hong Kong and fight Just MMA. These are all potential talks, but I'm a candidate for the trade, and, you know, just kind of representing out there because I could speak English and Mandarin. So I think it's a little bit easier in terms of marketing for them. And, you know, so far when I fought this year, you know, both my finishes have been in the first round. So I think it's good. It's a good incentive for me to just kind of go, hey, you guys, I'll put on a good show, you know, and then that's just kind of the idea. That's why they changed the name, because I believe they're branching out to China.
Well, you know, whatever the name is, it's an opportunity for you. Way of the Dragon 3. You've fought on every show so far, so, you know, you're a staple now. You're a known commodity for the brand, the promotion. You're facing a Filipino fighter, Roberto Medalla. What do you know about him? I know that he's the most experienced guy that you're facing so far in your career. What do you know about him?
I would say he's the toughest. I don't think he's the best fighter I've faced. I actually think my last opponent, or the first Bellator opponent, might have been better than him. Now, I'm not disrespecting him, I'm just calling it how I see it. I think he's the toughest fighter, though. The reason why I say the toughest is, I mean, if you look at all his losses, they've always gone to the decision. You know, what I know about him is he likes to grapple. He's a stronger opponent than, like, you know, like he looks strong. However, my assessment is he's never fought a striker. And when I say striker, I mean he's fought Muay Thai guys. But I'm talking about an MMA striker that picks his shots. I'm not just like a combo striker, you know? Like, I don't just try to hit you, you know? Like, there's setups. There's just, it's like, it's very deceptive, my striking. So I don't think he's ever fought somebody like that, and I find it very hard for him to replicate somebody in his camp with my footwork, or any camps unless you got like Alliance Dominic Cruz's footwork or TJ Dillashaw to, like, because I imitate myself off them. It's very hard to find guys that move like me, so that's an advantage that I carry into my fights. And so I know obviously he's gonna try to take me down. I mean, if you watch my fights, you probably. The smartest game plan is don't strike with him, take him down. And I know his camp is really good. I know he's very tough, so he would most definitely look into, you know, that game plan. The only thing is I just don't know if they all like underestimate my ground game, or like they don't know that I have a ground game. But I'm not actually a striker. I'm a grappler. You know, I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 9. So like I've done a bunch of jiu-jitsu competitions. I just haven't had the need to take people down in my fights or submit them. So this year you see me in the ground a little bit, and I got a bulldog choke, you know, which was pretty cool. It's nominated in California right now as potential submission of the year through NorCal MMA media. So it's pretty cool to hear that. But with this guy, Roberto, I don't know necessarily if he knows that, and if he does, you know, I'd love to showcase everybody the slick submission ground game that I've built over the years and adjusted to MMA. Because in jiu-jitsu, when I've lost, it's always been on points. And then whenever I've won, it's always been by submission. You know, when I competed in jiu-jitsu, and I've competed over like 20 jiu-jitsu tournaments, 30 even. So I don't know if he knows that I have that ability. So I'm really curious to see. I'm ready to fight everywhere this fight. I know he's really good in shape because he fights all the time. You know, he has more fights than it's listed. I know that, but I know he's going to be in shape. He's going to be a tough guy. But I think this is the first time I've ever fought somebody shorter than me, so I'm kind of happy about that, because I've always fought guys that are like close to 6 foot or 5'9", 5'10". He's about my height or possibly shorter, so I'm happy to be fighting a guy that's finally a little shorter than me.
With him, he's a guy that comes in, like you said, he's tough, he's strong, he's more experienced. Now, for your preparations for a guy like that, you know, how long have you been preparing, and was it hard to have the holidays taken away from you because of this training camp?
Yes, it was. It definitely was, because I trained during Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, went for a run, Thanksgiving, you know, all that. So I knew about this matchup late November, and I knew I was fighting. So training for this fight hasn't been too different, because my last camp was training against a guy that was lanky, and this camp it's training with guys that's a little shorter and stockier. So the only difference in camp is just getting a different body, like different body type. That's the only thing that's really changed. And I know he's not going to fade. Like, you know, throughout the rounds, he's not going to fade. So we're not looking to like make this a cardio battle, just because he's showed that he's proved his area in the conditioning realm. Now, what we can look to do is strike with him or take him down, because his complications in fights has been takedowns. He gets taken down frequently, and he loves a guillotine, you know. So we look into, like, obviously this is no secret. You watch his fights, you know. Just basically be able to defend his shots as well. So a lot of grappling for this camp, I'll be honest. A lot of grappling. But what was super exciting for this fight was, even though I did get the holidays taken away from me, it was kind of like me not doing something that everybody else is doing. Everybody's eating and enjoying the holidays, and I just kind of stayed home. So I'll be honest, I had a peace of mind, because there's no, you know, like sometimes it does get stressful. You see your family and all this stuff, but then they bombard you with questions. And don't get me wrong, I love family time, but sometimes it's just overwhelming because you don't see them for so long, you know? So my family this year went to Seattle to celebrate. And then I just stayed home in California by myself, hung out with a couple friends and teammates. We trained, and I got to thank them, by the way. My teammates sacrificed their Christmas Eves and time to come out and train with me. So, man, I couldn't ask for better teammates and better guys, you know? Like, they dedicated their time, they studied clips. So, like, to see them put so much time and effort into me, it means a lot, too, to have all the guys and girls on the team to come out. So that was really cool. And even though I did not get to eat as much as I'd like, it was kind of nice sitting at home and just enjoying some TV, some Netflix, and just eating some food, hot food, you know. And I got some boba tea. I won't lie, I did get some boba tea, but just kind of sitting at home and just enjoying, like, the process, you know. Like 10 years from now, a lot of the memorable moments that you've had, it's never like, oh man, remember when I knocked this guy out or this? It was, remember when we were cutting weight And then right before cutting weight, I got a oolong tea and I chugged it down because the tea helps you sweat. You know, it's a diuretic. Remember when we did that? Or remember right before our fight one time we got all weighed in and we went to a sushi bar after and we just killed it, you know? It's memories like that that I like hold on to more. So like when people ask me like, yo, remember your fight career? I'm going to ask my teammates, we're going to sit down one day and we're going to talk when we're drinking boba. I'm like, remember that one time, that one year when we sacrificed Christmas and we just kind of chilled and watched terrible movies? Like we watched, when I say terrible movies, I mean like these movies were like IMDb's worst movies of all time, like ranked 3 stars. There's a movie called Raptor. It was about a dinosaur eating people. You know, it was terrible. No CGI. That's how cheap it was. And I had a blast, man. It's like those times is when you feel like the richest. You know, like we didn't cash out on food. We just got some like hot pot, no sodium, you know, just cook some meat, watch some Netflix and drink some boba. It's just one of those times where there's no worries going on. The only worries is you got to worry about the dishes. You train in the morning. It feels great. No obligations, you know. So those are the times I felt like the best. So although, you know, it all depends on, it's all perspective on how you look at it. And this Christmas, in my opinion, was somewhat special. It wasn't the greatest one ever, but it was special in a sense where I had the guys down with me and we just all kind of hung out and enjoyed it.
2019, it's going to start, and you have a fight set up already. But what do you see this year? What do you foresee? What do you not really predict, but how many times do you want to fight?
I think 6 times. I think I could get 6 fights in because this year I got 4, and I wasn't really sure how the pro scene worked. So I definitely think I could get 6 fights in because this year I think I could have gotten more. Now I also know more organizations now. I'm on the roster. Like the thing about fight promoters is they're not sure if they can trust you or not because they don't know if you'll actually show up and fight because a lot of people back out. They seen me every single fight this year I've had. I showed up. I'm on time. I'm early. You know, I'm actually early in Bellator. You know, I talk to people and they're like, "Hey, you're early. You're the only person here when everybody's waiting." So they like that. It's professional. You know, I built that up when I was an amateur. So next year, I think there's a lot more promotions too, promotions that are coming up. So after January 12th, my upcoming fight, I'm looking to be booked. I'm already in talks to be booked on March 31st. After that, we'll see if Bellator comes back into town, and most likely they would reach out. It's just on us if we want to take it or not. So it's either that or there's an organization in Canada that is interested in reaching out to me for one of their shows next year in April. So I come out unscathed in March, go to April, and then May probably, that's when Bellator is coming back, and then July back in Taiwan, and then October or September probably pick up a fight in Asia somewhere again because of the trade deal that they're trying to do. So maybe China opens up. But I did get actually, I don't know I should say this or not, or I don't know if I can, but I got an offer from one not that long ago. It's just contractual issues on my side that I'll just kind of like, I don't know if that's enough fights for me. Like, it's not a lot. So I just kind of, we're putting up, we're constantly negotiating. So maybe one does open up for me. But they're very nice people, very professional. They're killing it. I'd love to fight for one. But yeah, I mean, I look like 6. I'm trying to line up 6 fights. I'm also trying to get into boxing, or Muay Thai fights. The problem with Muay Thai fights is too many cuts and, you know, bone on bone damage that, like, it takes a long time for you to recover. The reason why in Thailand you get away with it is because they're so conditioned, you know. So maybe I'm looking into getting 1 or 2 boxing fights next year too. So if we total it up, it should be about 6 fights, 5 or 6 fights by the end of next year. And then hopefully get signed by a promotion, get a contract somewhere and sign. And then, you know, that will be the start of my actual career, you know, like the beginning builder, starter career, and then jumping into one of the big leagues. But the biggest thing I look forward to next year is just kind of about like the process again, like who am I fighting? And not just who am I fighting, it's like what does that camp hold? What am I going to do differently? Because, man, this year, my last fight camp, I went to the fight healthy. But there's so many injuries in that camp because I was over preparing myself that like my back was tweaked for a week, and then I was sick for like 3-4 days, and then recovering from the sickness for like 2 extra days after. So a total of like I missed probably like almost 2.5 weeks of my last fight camp. No excuses. I'm just saying like I learned from that. It was my fault. I got ready too soon. My fight camp was a 2-month fight camp, and I already peaked in the first month because of conditioning and pad work and all that stuff. So the second month, heading into the fight, I started declining, and I was like, dude, I messed up. So I learned a lot about conditioning, the preparation leading up to the fight. So I can't wait to see how, like, after learning all this stuff, going into my future fights more and more and more prepared. Like I'm just like, dang, can't wait to finally see the Vegeta mode, like the final preparation. So I just can't wait to see like that after I get out the hyperbolic chamber, and I'm just like shredded and prepared for my fights. Because every single one of my fights this year, when I fought, I felt ready. But looking back at it now, I'm like, damn, I wasn't ready there. I wasn't ready there. Like I start nitpicking at things that I could have done differently. So I definitely learned a lot. So next year, with all those fights in mind and coming up, I can't wait to see like how much better I look and feel and prepared in those fights. It's just going to be awesome, because at the end of the day, when I'm done fighting, I have this massive amount of highlights, and I could just look back on it and sit on the couch and just be like, I feel like I accomplished something. I want to be like Thanos at the end of the Avengers movie. He's just sitting, staring into the sun, happy, on his farm. That's what I want to be like when I'm done fighting.
All right, January 12th, Way of the Dragon 3. Khai Wu faces Roberto Medalla in Taipei. Thanks for your time, Khai, and always good talking to you, man.
Thank you very much. I always appreciate you having me and all the other fighters and supporting us or whatnot. So I really appreciate it.